Hey there, everyone, and welcome to another astrology video. I'm Cassandra from CassandraTyndall.com, and today I want to share with you an excerpt of a video that I created for my Golden Circle Club, which is my membership where I share all the astrology insights each and every month. And I thought I would share a snippet of a video I made to maybe help some of you navigate these turbulent skies that we're all under right now. So we've had Mars, Uranus, and the North Node form their conjunction earlier this week. We are building up to the Mars square Saturn, and of course, Uranus and Saturn are in almost in range with each other, and that's going to be something that lasts for a big bulk of the third quarter this year. So we also have Mars moving into Gemini, and I touch on that as well. So this video is going to help you perhaps think about some practical action, Mars in Taurus, of what you can do or take in order to be maybe better prepared for some of the things that are happening collectively and of course personally in your birth chart. I do touch on things very vaguely here on the YouTubes, but if you do want to get a little bit deeper into things, the Golden Circle Club is the place to be. And if you are experiencing some change that's very difficult to handle, I also touch just slightly on a personal story where I went through a period of massive change. I was having a bit of Uranus action in my own chart. And even though I didn't feel like it at the time, it really did lead me to a much better and more stable place. So if that's a little bit of hope or inspiration, I do hope you enjoy it. And before I get 1,000 comments, yes, I have changed my hair. I do have Venus at 18 Taurus. So yes, I've suddenly done something a little bit different. And while it may look different to you, it's actually very familiar to me because I actually have red hair. I am a bona fide ginger kid. So anyway, I'll leave you with the excerpt of the monthly video. And of course, if you would like to join my Golden Circle Club, I would absolutely love to have you. And I'll pop a link below where you can explore the membership options. All right, until next time, I hope you are having a fairly gentle time considering the astrology right now. But this month is probably one of my lesser favorite months of 2022. It is going to bring that feeling of maybe, I don't know if I want to call it Groundhog Day. Oh no, not this again. But let's just say this isn't our first rodeo. Now, I remember back in 2020, late 2020, when a lot of astrologers were starting to discuss 2021, and they were talking about the 3 squares between Uranus or Saturn and Uranus. And I'm thinking, no, there's 4. And we are starting to come into that energy now. Now, the next square is, if you were to print out the data on Solar Fire, it would not show up because the 2 planets don't connect by the minute, but they both hit 18 degrees. Not till October. Saturn at 18 Aquarius, Uranus at 18 Taurus. Now, this is a hot spot degree that gets activated this month in a big way. And Uranus stations retrograde this month and then backs into Saturn as it stations direct in October. So it's a long way of saying that Saturn square Uranus is now going to be in play for the next couple of months. So while this may not technically, and I don't even want to say that because both of these planets do hit 18 degrees, close enough. The minutes are irrelevant as far as I'm concerned. And I'm saying, probably what most astrologers would say as well. Again, this isn't our first rodeo. We've done Saturn square Uranus a number of times all throughout 2021. Now, in my opinion, what makes this particular square that we're starting to, gets fired up in August is that it lasts a long time. Okay. And it's almost like, does it happen? Doesn't it happen? But I think it's going to happen. Okay. and this is the conundrum that I have to sometimes discuss the astrology. Like, I have to be honest with people. I have to offer some, collective insights because, hey, we're all living under the same sky. And then, of course, there's those, few of the more kind of personal insights on what we can do with the energy that's in play. Now, in the Q&As that I do on Instagram on Wednesdays, although I didn't do it this week, I think I'm going to give it away for a while. But I mentioned something a few weeks ago and someone asked me something. I can't remember what it was, but I basically said increase of restrictions, mandates, and potentially lockdowns. I do think that they're going to happen again. And I'm wondering, is it going to be the month of August? So brace yourselves. I think while Mars is still in Taurus, take action, be prepared for practical things. Maybe buy a little bit more food than what you normally buy. Make sure you're stocked up on things. Make the connections with people you need to make connections with, however that looks for you in your personal life and in your current situation. And then we also have Mars entering Gemini. And this is the big one, because by the time Mars exits Gemini in 2023 in March, Saturn will be in Pisces, Pluto will be in Aquarius. So we begin that chapter this month. And there's a lot I want to say about that. There's a lot I want to say about Pluto and Aquarius as well. But I really think when Mars enters Gemini, the ingress happens on August 20, that energy is going to hit big time. As Mars hits 0 degrees of Gemini, it's going to make that whole sign trine to 0 Aquarius, okay, which funnily enough, as I'm recording this, the moon is just entered Gemini itself. So very interesting and something to that. So how to use this on the practical? Okay, Mars doesn't move into Gemini until the 20th. So we've still got a fair while of Taurus to go. Use this energy to get practical, maybe get grounded, take care of the body, start that exercise routine that you've been meaning to do. Don't procrastinate, finish the projects, get things off the table, because Mars in Gemini is busy. It is in a mutable sign for 8 months, and Mars doesn't cope very well in air signs. Air speaks to the things that are more intangible. Gemini is data, it's ideas, it's facts, and they're concepts. It's not something tangible. So Mars, it needs to tackle something that's real, and air doesn't really speak to the things that are, while they're real, we can't really point and go, that's an idea, although we sort of sometimes do, but I think you get the gist. So Mars in Gemini is going to be a big ingress. There's going to be a big energy coming through, big long energy coming through your Gemini house. But again, it's not our first rodeo. We've had Venus retrograde in Gemini 2020, Mercury retrograde in Gemini 2021 with eclipses, and now we have Mars. So again, this feeling of August this isn't our first rodeo. And I think that's going to happen on a number of levels, the Mars action as well as that Saturn-Uranus action. Now, even though there is a bit of doom and gloom, I think it is going to be a difficult energy that we are moving into. But I also think that, on the personal level, it can also be a tipping point of what you don't want to put up with anymore. Maybe it's that job you're done with. Maybe it's that relationship you're done with. Maybe it's you're tired of, that 10 kilos you need to lose, or whatever that thing is, as per your own chart. Just the action can be, especially with that Mars, Uranus, and the North Node, it's really sudden, rapid change on steroids. It's volatile, it's a little turbulent, but it can also be exciting. And it may not feel so good while it happens. I remember it was the 11th of November, 2012, basically began the week of my life that I could write a book about. And it was the South Node hit Algol. And then we had a new moon eclipse, a solar eclipse in Scorpio. And that week I had more change and more drama and more crazy in that week that I think most people kind of get in a year. So to give you an idea, I was physically assaulted badly. I was involved in 2 car accidents. Neither were my fault. I made a national TV appearance talking about the eclipses. I had a flat tire on the Harbour Bridge in Sydney in peak hour traffic. I was booked in to do a boxing course, like a personal training boxing course, like a boxing course for personal trainers. At the end of that week, with a friend of mine that I was studying to do personal training with. And then I, got through the theory. Okay. Then I got to the practical and I just kind of like lost my shit because of what had happened. I was still bruised and beaten up. And, not visibly. He was smart about that. But, and then, so I had just like lost it then. And then, I think just everything happened to me in just the nerves. And, I had an evacuation from that physically. And then I got locked in the gym and I'm bashing on the door. And then luckily, like someone was still in the car park with keys and they were able to let me out. Then, I remember going to my friend's house. I did my nails, I did my feet because, I have a Libra moon. I always have to look good where I can. And then I had 15 hours sleep that entire week. And then I decided to drive, then I got up early to drive to Brisbane and I never went back to Sydney. So just to give you that idea of just how much, obviously it's not going to be like that for everybody, but what the potentiality, the stars were similar but different, but that's the potentiality. So much change, so much turbulence. And while it was grossly unpleasant at the time, it led to a newfound stability. 12 months later, I became a mum. Well, I found out I was pregnant, obviously a different person. I was the dad, but yeah, just like crazy, crazy stuff. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea of what is the potential for this transit, not for everyone's chart and not in the same capacity, but I guess the point of this sharing that with you is if you are going through intense change, you feel like the rug is being taken out beneath you and you're losing that sort of Taurus traction, that, even though the change doesn't always feel good at the time, you can look back on it and go, yeah, well, look where I am now. And that might, be bittersweet medicine. Like when you're in the midst of it, you can't see what the good is in a situation. I know some people in my personal life are going through some difficulties at the moment, and I can see the long range picture for them, but they can't see it for themselves. And as I couldn't see it for myself at that time, I was purely in survival mode. So yeah, and I think there is going to be a little bit of that white knuckling energy coming through in August. And while it may not happen in August, I think we're going to start to become a lot more aware of what this next chapter will bring for each of us collectively, personally, and the like. So there we go. They're my 2 big things for the month. Mercury moves very quickly. We also, let me share the screen with you and I'll show you the calendar that I make for you each month. So Mercury moves super quick. We have a little bit of dignity coming through there with Mercury in Virgo. But then, of course, by about the 21st, Mercury enters the shadow, which is part of the September and October retrograde story. We do have a little bit of dignity through the sun in Leo, but it's a bit beaten up. Okay, so it is opposite Saturn square Mars, but we do start the month with a lovely sort of Sun Jupiter trine. So not too bad. Jupiter will be retrograde. I'll adjust that on the calendar before I send it out to you. So yeah, like I think maybe it is like week 3, we get the week of trines, which isn't too bad, which will kind of soften the energy as we move into Mars in Gemini. But yeah, I think that's the main takeaway of this month. We do have, the theme is this isn't the first rodeo. So take heart if things do feel difficult, feel uncomfortable. And yeah, so I think they're my thoughts for the majority of the month. No doubt I'll be sharing more of those with you on Thursday as we talk about the Leo new moon as well. So I just didn't want to repeat myself too much, but there we have it. August is it's going to be a big one. All right, so let's break down the weekly energy in the next videos. Great to have you here again, and I'll look forward to catching you all very, very soon.